this picture shows on the left is where does the money come from, and on the right, where does the money go? We're talking here about climate finance into the global south. And you can see that we have already, the orange bar shows us there's already a significant amount of private sector finance coming into the picture. You can see the other big one is mutual DFIs, like the World Banks and other development banks that we have. So we have the private sector pretty well represented already in climate finance. But you look on the right side, you can see that the majority of the current climate funding is going into renewable energy and transport. That is not surprising. We have come a long way in terms of renewables. In many countries, renewable energy is actually the least cost option now. But if you look on the right side a little bit higher up, land use is a tiny spaghetti there. So climate finance currently works quite well, even from the private sector, for renewables and transport program and even energy efficiency, but not really a lot at all for land use program or a project in the nature-based solution space. And that has a reason, to which we come in a second. And of course, the answer, so let me first show you the next slide. And the answer is very simple. Let's look at a very concrete example of a land-based project. Here is a project in Ghana in the cocoa industry. As many of you, I guess, know, Ghana has a problem. The desert is growing. The tradition in Ghana is to have monocultures, like to plant cocoa only, but that is not healthy for the plants and the soil. Cocoa field needs shade trees. So one solution, one actually very profitable solution to do, is to invest in agroforestry. As you can see on this field, where you plant shade trees to protect your cocoa. What that means is you're making money in the midterm, but in the short term, somebody needs to invest, because in the short term, you will have less profit from your cocoa, and you have to plant new trees. So who is financing that? What financing options does she have to invest in agroforestry? She will not qualify for a bank loan because she's unbankable. She will not qualify for a soft loan from the World Bank because those loans start at $50 million. She needs $10,000, so absolutely not the right size. Nobody will invest equity. What does she have in terms of options? She could perhaps be lucky enough to get a grant from some NGO. The only other option is carbon finance. And let me come in a second to why that's the case and why carbon finance is such an important instrument to actually drive change on the ground. The reason is investments in land-based solutions are tricky. A number of reasons. Typically, we talk about small aggregated deals. We talk about it's a big plot of land, but the actual takers are perhaps farmers. As we discussed, many of them have low creditworthiness. Bankability is a problem. They making them ineligible for lending. We have typically complex ownership structures. It happens a lot of times that the land is not owned by the same person who is farming the land. Sometimes cooperatives are involved. So and that's happens to be different from country to country. So not really what big banks like in terms of big loans. And of course, you have currency risks. You need shilling in Uganda and not US dollars. And so all these problems are part of the reason why big money is not flowing into regenerative agriculture. But carbon finance is different. Carbon finance treats farmers as business partners. How is that possible? If we give a loan to a farmer and we don't expect this loan to be paid back, but we take carbon credits as a payback, a number of things change. First of all, these carbon credits are bought by companies like Isabel just showed on the slides in Europe and in hard currency. So we have transferred the risk away, and now we all of a sudden talk about hard currency contracts. Also, by using carbon finance, we are able to aggregate. We can roll out the program which, for example, using satellite-based data, is able to capture thousands of farmers and is able to judge whether or not farming has been done differently. And through new technologies, we're even able to actually compensate those farmers, for example, through a token put on a wallet. Keep in mind, many of the farmers have mobile phones, they're mobile banking. So carbon finance is a very interesting instrument that is game-changing, specifically for nature-based solutions. And I wanted to basically flag this because too often in these discussions about voluntary carbon, we are looking only at the company side, and the question we have is, can you account for it and not? But I wanted to make it very clear that carbon finance itself has a very important role in our quest to reduce and remove emissions from the atmosphere, specifically in nature-based solutions.